I'm pretty much.
Okay.
Okay, I'll start, but my intro is, I focused on, I chose to focus on part 3 of the book, Nonviolence Theory and Practice, Women in Nonviolence. Now, some of the women discussed in the book date back to the pioneers of the nonviolent movement, who were the women of the Bible, which dates back, oh, excuse me, I'm on the wrong one. I will focus on the active nonviolence action of several women who used the technique of nonviolent action to achieve a means to the end. However, Jean Sharp, author of A Special Type of Action, points out that it is crucial to understand that the basic dichotomy of social and political behavior is between action and inaction, rather than between nonviolence and violence. 3 of the women that I would like to talk about is Rosa Parks, Molly Rush, and Barbara Deming.
Specifically, the book that we're talking about was in the list originally given, and so when it was chosen by both sides, we really didn't know what the context was, and after just looking through it briefly, we decided on this side that we were going to argue for the pros of the use of this book. And I figured that we would be arguing from a side of strength based upon previous classes and taking other looks at other texts that are out there. And it really made this text seem to come to the fore just because of the basic philosophy and the actual optimism that it expounds and the great detail that it gives you. It's in some cases, a very sobering book, but all in all, I think that it gives you a very good positive outlook. And there are some striking stories in here that I'll relate, and then there are some very positive, uplifting things. So that's our side. Thomasina's going to argue one specific area. I'm going to take pop shots and kind of give an overview of what's in the book. We also have our third member is bedridden, but we do have her paper that she submitted to us today, where she did an overview of the entire book as well. So our side will be the pro of the book and the benefits and what we think can do for other students in similar situations.
Hi, my name is Sally Lyons, and we will be representing the opposite side, the con side of the book that we chose, Nonviolence Theory and Practice. And part of the presentation tonight will have to do with, we spoke about it in class, about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and comes into play a lot with presenting the reasons that people go to war in the first place, for contested resources being one of the main things as the bedrock of the needs that most people, whether the theory is believable to all different, or is applicable to all different societies, is one thing. You could be in a remote, underdeveloped nation, never having heard of Maslow, and it has nothing to do with that civilization per se, but we still have the need of the basic needs for breathing, shelter, water, food. And these resources are, as I stated earlier, they're the contested resources that we usually find civilizations go to war over. So we will be presenting that side of it and defending the reasons why war is a tactic that we agree has not always. I won't say that we think that war is a good thing, because that would be wrong to say, but it is effective, can be.
And also, I would like to touch on just a little bit, well, first I'd like to say it was a great book, and it was kind of difficult to put together a con argument about, when you're talking about something such as nonviolence or something that believes harm in. But on the other hand, I did think about with some of the examples in the book, the cost of nonviolence, what some other alternatives would be, and how these nonviolence practices were constructed and how they're used and who's facilitating them.
Well, if we want to get into it right away, I would say that there is one of the things that interested me, as Thomasina said, getting through this book in the first place and then positioning myself against the arguments that the book put forth as arguing with Jesus and Gandhi and Martin Luther, and it was King, and it was an enviable place to be put in. However, when the realist part of my brain kicked in to look at things in a stark, cold truth, that's when I was able to get started in some research. One of the things I came up with, I looked when we were doing our research, I remembered hearing about the just war. Is there a just war? And there's a just war theory, which I'm sure the professor knows about, and a lot of you have probably heard about, but I never knew the specifics of it. It's about the ethics of war and peace, and the just war has three parts. It's jus ad bellum, jus in bello, and jus post bellum, Latin, meaning, well, I'll go into it later, but it's the causes and the setup for it. So there's that, and the theory of the just war theory, I'll just read this part, can be meaningfully divided into three parts, which in the literature it refers to the jus ad bellum, which concerns the justice of resorting to war in the first place. Jus in bello, which concerns the justice of conduct within war after it's begun. So there are rules, which I think we've all heard of. I mean, even in watching movies when I was younger, and hearing terrible things about Guantanamo and well, why, and The Hague, and why, what do you mean you have rules in war? And so there is conduct, and just post bellum, post meaning after, right, which concerns the justice of the peace agreements and the termination phase of the war. So there is a lot more to war than I had assumed, and it doesn't make me believe in it anymore, but I do see now that if there is a just cause, if it's, and this is clearly the most important rule, it sets the tone for everything. If the state feels that they are starting a war for the right cause, for self-defense, or an external attack on the state or the sovereignty, quote-unquote, of the nation, this is what's considered a just cause. Protection of innocent people from brutal attacks, things like this. This falls under just cause. In the book, there is no defense of just cause. It's always turn the other cheek or find a way to wait it out or to be passive, and it's not protecting the innocent. And so that, to me, leaves a big hole.
Well, I'd also like to say, one thing that I noticed about the text is the use of the nonviolent theory, and it kind of presents the nonviolent theories as if they were exclusive to groups that are searching for equality and justice, when in fact a number of the other, also it's kind of presented in an anti-military and an anti-government context. However, massive numbers of people are, experience a diminished quality of life because governments and some military groups often use non-violent tactics like forced occupation. They also, some governments, they provide foreign aid to oppressive regimes or dictators. They establish,